Hello again, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Cello Time with Gabe. I'm Gabe, and this is MCC Live to You, cultural programming at your fingertips. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit more basic stuff about how the cello makes a sound. I'm going to expand a little bit on articulation and how we can use the bow to shape different groups of notes. And then I'm going to play some folk songs for you guys. And hope you enjoy. All right, everyone. So this is Patty. Patty has been in my life for the last 10 years. She's a very beautiful instrument, full-size cello. Has treated me very well. It has a nice, rich sound, especially in the lower strings. And I'll play some more, and you guys will hear her at her best. But right now, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how the sound is made. And then maybe in another video I'll tell you guys more about the history of the cello and how the modern cello came to be, because it wasn't always these materials. So basically the cello makes a sound by its strings. These strings are tightened to a specific strength so that they vibrate at a certain pitch. You can kind of see the string vibrate. And basically these strings are suspended. You can change the tightness or the pitch with these. They're pegs. Or with these, they're fine tuners. And these are just like, they do the same thing, just that bigger intervals to really tighten the string a lot are used by the pegs. And then the fine tuners are just for like the very small intervals to like perfectly tune it. So these 4 strings are suspended by a bridge. My bridge is actually a little crooked right now. I just got it back from the shop. But the bridge suspends them, and most of the cello actually doesn't have any glue. It's held just by the suspension, so the strings are what literally holds it together. There is a little bit of glue that holds the actual wood together, but it is held, all the strings are held by the tailpiece, and the tailpiece is down to the end pin. The end pin is just to help you play it when you put it out, so that it is at the correct height for you to be able to play comfortably. The cello is always played seated. I mean, other people do it other ways, but most 99% of the time, a cellist is always seated. And once the string vibrates, it is projected through the body, and this body is actually completely hollow. And so that will help project the sound out of the F holes. It comes inside and back out and makes it a lot louder. It's similar to the way that guitars or other acoustic instruments work. So the cello is actually short for violoncello, basically big violin. And it is part of a larger family called the viol family, and that includes the violin, the viola, and technically the double bass is not part of the same family. It's tuned differently. It's small differences, but it is included in the string orchestra, and they usually play together. These are what those 4 instruments look like. Like in most instrument families, they're divided by pitch. So violin has the highest pitch, the viola is in the middle, and then the cello, and then the bass is the lowest of all of them. I love the cello basically because it has a huge range, and you can hit a low note like this or a high note like that. And it is actually the instrument that's closest to the human voice. And that allows a lot of people to really connect with it. It sounds almost like someone is singing. Like it comes from the soul. And in my opinion, it's the warmest of that instrument family. So I've kind of explained how the sound is made out of the cello. Usually we will either pluck the string, that's called pizzicato, or we will bow it. And this is, I think, the primary method of how we play. It is much louder, and you have more control over different aspects that I will explain later. It's just basically a piece of wood with hair on it, horsehair on it. Used to be horsehair. There's still some made with horsehair, but now we use like synthetic horsehair. and as time progresses, we always find new ways to innovate and get better tools to do the same old thing. This is actually another bow that's made out of carbon fiber. It's a little heavy for some people. I really like it just because I live in South Florida and you don't have problems with wood that you normally do if you're using this. Sometimes the humidity, temperature can really affect how your bow bounces and how it behaves. If you're, well, I rarely play outdoors, but just less wood, less problems. Usually we'll put something called rosin on the bow. It's extracted from tree resin, and basically, if you look under a microscope at rosin, it's like little tiny hooks. So if you put this, this carbon fiber bow has no rosin on it, so I'll kind of explain to you guys. You don't hear anything. Whereas this one that I rosined the other day sounds a lot better. And that will actually pull the string and let them vibrate consistently, and that you can manipulate. Obviously, how fast you move the bow, how hard you press, will all affect your playing. Alright, so like I said before, whenever we pluck the string, it's called pizzicato. And whenever we use the bow, it's called arco. Whenever we play arco, mainly whenever we use arco to make a sound from the cello, it has to do with the pressure that we put on the string as well as the speed of the bow. Those two things have a lot to do with how you use the joints in your arm. You have to use all three of them together and not separately. You can't just be sawing away at it. And your bow hold is really important. As beginners usually have problems just keeping an even sound from the frog to the tip. And that just is self-explanatory because it's further away from the arm. You have less weight, less control over it. And just to keep an even sound is difficult. And that could take some players even months to master. And yeah. So every bow has a balance point. I'm going to try to find it for you guys right here. Yeah, kind of. And that just kind of shows you how the weight is distributed on the bow, and it's something just to keep in mind of how to push and pull. Bow is always supposed to be natural, like they say with swordsmanship, an extension of your arm. And, as you become more advanced, you'll learn different techniques that you can use with the bow. We can play legato, which means long, and that's just literally how it sounds. We can play staccato, which is short. We can play spiccato, which is another version of staccato, which just has to do with bouncing the bow. I kind of did it already, but... And so on, so on, so on. All sorts of things you can do. But even just as the basics, doing one note per bow, it's kind of where you start off. But when we do multiple notes per bow, we can already make it sound more connected. Versus. So today I'm going to play for you guys some folk songs, like I said before, and I'm going to start with one called Londonderry Air. It's an Irish folk song. Most Americans know it by Danny Boy. It was arranged 100 years ago. And using that same melody. Once you hear it, you'll recognize it immediately. next piece I'm going to play is a folk song, another English folk song called Green Sleeves. Probably know it.